Hi guys, how is everyone? Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about getting back into the school routine as the school year approaches, or as you're planning this next year of pre-K to then get your child into school next year. There's a lot of adjustments that happen as we're coming off of summer break and going back to school. So hopefully some of these tips will help you prepare both yourself and your children as you get back into that routine of school. I know I'm not super excited about waking up super early. It's been nice sleeping in. It's been nice not dealing with homework. We're back to the grind, back to the groove, and getting my head right and getting my kids' head right is going to help us transition back to school. So my name is Lauren. I am the Family Support Specialist with Child Care Answers. So in my role at Child Care Answers, I support families by doing parenting workshops like this, one-on-one support, and then helping families locate childcare, preschool programs, and schools. Because sometimes your local school isn't the best fit for your child. So we can help you find programs that seem to be a better fit or may align more with your parenting styles. I'm also a parent of two. I have a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old. So we're getting back into the groove, just like you guys. Child Care Answers is part of a larger network of resource and referral agencies across the state. We service Hendricks, Hamilton, and Marion counties, but there is an agency that serves you regardless of what county you live in. You can always connect with me, and then I can do a warm handoff to your local agency for additional support. So as we start our conversation tonight about that transition back to school, I want you to think about your first day of school, whether it was your very first day of kindergarten or the first day of school that you remember. Maybe it's a significant transition off to school. For me, I remember my first year of kindergarten. I also remember my first year of first grade because I had chickenpox. And so I missed the first week of school, which was a huge bummer. But I remember the magic of my first day of kindergarten, but also the fear and anxiety. I was super excited to go to school where my older siblings went. I felt so big, but I also felt like the smallest fish in a giant pond. I felt like the hallways were so big. All the other kids were so tall. The teachers were so tall. And there was a lot of fear and anxiety of going off to my first day of school. Where I went to school, I didn't ride the bus. My mom dropped me off, but I can just imagine if I was riding a bus, how much more anxious I would have been for that first day. At least I was able to hug my mom goodbye at the door. If I had to hug her goodbye before getting on the bus, I'm sure I would have been a lot more nervous about that transition. And so when we think about our first day, we have a lot of mixed emotions, right? We have these super happy emotions of like, I'm so excited, this is great, I'm about to take on the world. If I've already been at that school, I get to go see my friends that I haven't seen all summer. I get to meet my new teacher. But then also that anxiety of like, what should I expect? What is this year going to bring? And my son is 9 and he gets anxious about a new set of teachers. He bonds really well to his teachers. And so that transition to a new set of teachers is often very challenging. He gets into the groove, but that transition period is hard. My daughter takes the bull by the horns, but I think she gets nervous of who's going to be in my class. Is it going to be the same kids that I had last year, and not understanding at age 4 going into pre-K why her preschool friends aren't the same friends that she will have in pre-K. So there are, mixed emotions. And when it comes to our kids, it's important to validate our child's feelings. So having conversations and talking before the first day of school about those feelings of nervousness or apprehension, and also those feelings of excitement. It's hard getting back into that routine. There's a lot of feelings that come up with just getting up early or having homework. And so it's first important that we acknowledge our kids' feelings and that we let them know that their feelings are valid and that us as adults have similar feelings, and we have those same feelings when we were kids. They're not alone in that experience. And when our children know that their feelings are heard and valid, and then they're not alone, they feel understood, and they feel respected as an individual, which is really what we want to teach our kids when it comes to social emotional development. So talk about those expectations, talk about those changes, talk about what it's going to be like to ride the bus for the first time, or talk about how fourth grade is going to be different than third grade. Talk about the new teachers and the friends that they might have in their class, and the things that are going to be the same and the things that are going to be different. And also within this, consider for especially younger kids or kids with disabilities, creating social stories. A social story is a story that you make, that you create for your child about their experiences. Read it before school. A picture of them getting on the bus, a picture of their new teachers, a picture of their friends, a picture of their backpack, whatever it might be, to really talk about that transition within a story where your child can then see themselves in that picture, in that story, and they can begin to kind of start to replay and act out what that transition might look like. I know for me as an adult, if something new is happening the next day, I think about the scenarios in my head. I play those scenarios in my head. Where am I going to park? What are we going to eat? Who's going to be there? And kids think about those same things. So talking about the transition, talking about changes, and using social stories helps build that idea without their imagination going wild into like, there's going to be a dinosaur at school. No, there's not going to be a dinosaur at school. Miss Lauren's going to be your teacher, and it's going to be a great year. Another great tool that we have that helps with this process, if your kiddo is going into pre-K and you're thinking about that transition to kindergarten, or if your child is starting kindergarten this year, is our guide to that transition to kindergarten process. So you can scan the QR code, or you can go to childcareanswers.org/back-to-school for tons of back-to-school resources, including this guide. It talks about choosing kindergarten, what the kindergarten transition process looks like, and then lots of helpful tools that we'll talk about today on how to prepare your child for their first day of school. So as you're getting your child excited, you're starting to talk about feelings and prepare them for that transition, you also want to build excitement. Because there can be a lot of anxiety about going back to school in that transition, you want to try to create excitement around that transition as well. So we balance the excitement and the nerves. And one way to do this is building excitement through back to school shopping. I personally love shopping. My kids love shopping, especially if we're getting something for ourselves, right? And so when it comes to going back to school, we can build excitement by letting our kids pick out their supplies. And it's okay to even have like rules or choices within this, so giving them the option to choose. So you can have this or that, or choose whatever folder you want, depending on your family's budget and where you're shopping or what you want your child to have. Like, you know, you need an art folder. It has to be red. Choose whatever red folder you want to have. So choices within a set of limits, but build that excitement by choosing their supplies, their lunchbox, their backpack, and even picking out that outfit for the first day of school. My daughter doesn't start school until next week, and she already has her first day of school outfit hanging on her door because she's so excited and she's so ready and she knows what she wants to wear on the first day of school. My 9-year-old, he's like, I don't know, I'll just put some clothes on in the morning. But that is one way that she is building excitement about the first day of school. Also, having them help you pack their materials and label their things, whether they're writing their name on it or they're sticking a sticker on their items. It's giving them ownership to say, like, these are my supplies. This is my backpack. These are my school shoes. And I'm excited because I get to use these. My son doesn't want to wear his back to school shoes until the first day of school because he has excitement about wearing them that day. He doesn't care what he wears on his body, but his shoes, he wants them to be nice and clean for the first day of school. My husband laughs and he's like, oh, we got to keep those school shoes clean. But it's something he can be prideful in, and something that he can own for that first day of school. Additionally, as we're thinking about going back to school, it's easing back into that routine so that the first day isn't like, bam, we're getting up early, we have homework tonight, like we are back at school. So ease back in that routine. So over the course of the week or two before school starts, gradually reel in bedtime, 10 minutes every night, a little bit earlier. I know that we stay up a little bit later in the summer because we're waking up a little bit later. So pushing that bedtime back and then getting our kids up a little bit early every single day helps them so that that 6 a.m. alarm isn't as shocking on the first day of school. Also, if your kids are anything like mine, they're not used to regular baths in the summer because we're swimming, we're at the pool, they just don't want to bathe. So getting back into a regular bath time schedule the week before school starts so that they know the expectation is, okay, now that we're back at school, we need to take a shower every night before bed. And then practice getting dressed before breakfast and changing up that morning routine. My kids are used to getting up and sitting on the couch, having breakfast on the couch and watching their iPad, and then they get ready for their day. Well, that doesn't work. I'm going back to school. So a week before school, it's getting them to get dressed before they come back downstairs, and then slowly transitioning breakfast to the table rather than just chilling on the couch with their iPad, getting them gradually used to that morning routine. And summer's over, it's not time to chill till 9 anymore. We got to get dressed and get going with our day. These things are things that you can have conversations about with your child, like what part of your routine is hardest for you? What part do you need reminded of? How can I help you in your routine? And nailing those things out the week before school starts can be helpful, so there's not as much anxiety going into the first day of school. So as you're setting down bedtime expectations, you're adding back in baths, you're changing up the morning routine, these are opportunities to give your child control over the routine, to say, hey, you've been getting dressed before you come downstairs. What's working? What's not working? What are you going to do? What do you need me to do? Do you need me to lay out your clothes and then you get dressed? Do you need me to help you brush your teeth? What can I expect you to do independently before school, and what do you need me to help you with? Sometimes creating a visual schedule can really help kids, especially younger kids, remember the steps of a routine. So maybe putting down a visual schedule on their door that has a picture of them getting dressed, a picture of their shoes, and a picture of them brushing their teeth, as that visual to say, before you ever come downstairs or you ever come into the kitchen, these are the 3 things that you need to make sure you do. Also adding visuals to the door before they leave. Do you have your backpack? Do you have your lunchbox? Do you have your shoes on? And then adding coat in as it gets colder. So that, again, we're building independence to have them be in control of their routine, because when children feel in control of their routine, they're more likely to go along with it. And they, again, feel a sense of pride in that routine. And then if there's any opportunities for your child to say, like, hey, this isn't working for me, then those are opportunities for you to jump in and help. My son has ADHD, so remembering his medicine in the morning is hard because he's not medicated and he forgets a lot. So I have a lot of visuals around, but then that's my responsibility as the adult, is to remember to give you your medicine, because that's not something I can expect you to remember. So what is your responsibility and what is mine going to be in the morning and the evening routine? Something we're going to try this year, because I know that my kids are capable, is when you get home from school, take your lunchbox out of your backpack, set it on the counter, put your folder on the counter, and look at your assignment notebook, so that I don't have the responsibility of doing that. That responsibility falls on you because it's yours. And again, my kids are very capable. I've just been doing it. And it's one of those things where I'm looking at this list thinking, what would be helpful for me? And that would be helpful for me so that I don't have to remember that. And then they're there so I can pack them, all their stuff up before school the next day. Another helpful tip for the summer is to read. Read to your child daily. Give your child independent time to read. Go to the library and get books. Reading can be a really great placeholder for homework for older children, so they're still in that habit of doing something academic, but reading is just great for the brain in general. And so if you don't do anything else, read all summer long with your child and give your child a lot of time to read. As my son gets older, he's having a harder time falling asleep, and we need to bump our bedtime back a little bit. And so what he does is he reads for a half an hour before he goes to bed as a way of settling down. And so that's a great opportunity for him to connect with books and to read rather than looking at a screen or playing and getting all excited. As my daughter transitions out of nap time, she does an hour of quiet reading time in the middle of the day, kind of for a similar thing. Knowing as she transitions to school next year, that their rest time, you either sleep or you listen to books on tape. So she'll still have that opportunity to be connected to books during rest time at school. And again, if your kids are anything like mine, they've been snacking all summer long. And this is really hard, especially for kids transitioning to kindergarten. It's their first time ever in school, is that they are eating at a very specific schedule at school. At home, if they're hungry, they get food. Well, at school, it doesn't really work like that. So starting to kind of put an end to grazing, setting more consistent snack and mealtime schedules, and being more consistent with that of like, this is the time that we eat breakfast, and then this is when we have snack, and then this is when we have lunch, to get our kids in the habit of eating at a set schedule rather than just eating when they're hungry. Because that, for a lot of kids, is a really, really hard transition from being home or in childcare and then going off to school. Lunch is often later. Many schools don't have an afternoon snack. And so being prepared. I like to have a snack ready when my kids get home from school because I know that they're going to be hangry. They haven't had their afternoon snack, and they've been having an afternoon snack all summer. So anything I can do to help prepare them for that transition is going to help remove the hanger and become a smoother transition back to school. I'll take the hanger at home, but I don't want them hangry at school. And so we've done all of these things, right, to prepare for our 2 weeks back to school. We've gotten supplies, we've talked about anxiety, we've built excitement, we've been reading all summer, we've been changing up our routine a little bit. Now it's time to really organize the essentials the night before or a couple nights before the first day of school. So this means prepping lunches, shopping for lunch foods, organizing it the way that you want to organize it, setting out our clothes for the next day. We like to take first day of school pictures. So I want them dressed and ready. I don't want to be arguing and fighting about like, it's time to go, because I want to be able to take a positive picture on our first day of school. And I want that first morning, at least, to run as smoothly as possible. I also pack their bags and let them help pack their bags with their first day essentials, and then prepare anything that I need for those first day of school pictures. I am a huge proponent in packing lunches the night before and organizing it in a way that it is easy as possible. I am not a Pinterest mom when it comes to school lunches. I want it to be easy. So something I have hanging on my fridge and something you can get on our website at that same webpage at childcareanswers.org/back-to-school is our school lunch cheat sheet. So this is a formula for packing school lunches that includes a protein, a carb, a fruit or veggie, and then a sweet treat or something fun in their lunchbox. I use this when I am grocery shopping to kind of check off, like, these are the things that I'm going to get for lunches this week. My 9-year-old can read, so he can look over this list and say, like, hey, I'm failing protein bars for breakfast this week, or can you get some cuties for school lunches. And then it is helpful when I am in a rut and I don't know what to pack to be able to use this sheet. So what I do is I use it to grocery shop. I come home and then I prepare everything as soon as I get home. So if they're having grapes for school lunches this week, I will come home, I will wash them, and I will bag them. Instead of having one bag in the fridge of grapes, I have separate bags. I'm usually 5 or 6, and then we can just pull them out and put them into their school lunches throughout the week. We have a drawer that is designated for school lunches in their fridge, and then we have a basket in the pantry, again, designated for our lunches. So again, it's as easy as possible to pack those meals. And a huge win that I just discovered, which I don't know how I just discovered this, but it's to set reminders. Again, so you don't have to remember everything. And that transition can be challenging, is to set reminders. So I'm probably going to set her off when I say this. So I'm going to change her name. Instead of Alexa, I'm going to say Bonnie instead. So you can set her to say, Bonnie, remind me every Wednesday that Claire needs to wear gym shoes to school. And then every Wednesday morning, it will remind you. Or Bonnie, remind me every morning at 7:15 a.m. to give Adam his medicine. Or Bonnie, set a wake up alarm in Ben's room for 7 a.m. each weekday. So again, you don't have to remember all these things, and you're getting reminded alongside of your kiddos. So you can set any reminder. We do this now for our dog's medicine monthly, for making sure that we bring certain things to school. As the weather gets colder, for the first couple of weeks, I'll set a reminder to grab a jacket or your coat or a sweatshirt. And it gives, again, our kids independence, because they're hearing these reminders alongside of you, and it triggers them to be like, oh, I need to go get that. So huge that I just discovered, and it has been life-changing. So if these tips have been helpful and you are in that transition to kindergarten phase, whether it's your child's first day of kindergarten next week, or this is the year leading up to kindergarten, check out our kindergarten readiness and transition to kindergarten series. So this is the second part of 3. You can scan the QR code to register for choosing the right kindergarten, but check out our YouTube channel for kindergarten readiness and this recording that should be posted in the next couple of days. And we'll be excited to see you on the Choosing the Right Kindergarten session. So thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate everyone's attention and questions. It's been great to talk about that transition. If you aren't already following us, follow us on social media for all of our latest workshops, events, and our Family Fridays every Friday. We are now on TikTok, so check us out there. And then if you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me at laureng@childcareanswers.org. Thank you.